Hello. Hello, hello. Welcome to the live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Or so says the pinned message on the YouTube chat. Excuse me. Anyways, from what I can tell, my sound is good. If anybody is there, just let me know otherwise. I always have a hard time with it. I don't really have like any kind of a sound or mic monitoring system or app going on here. I'm just gonna bang my microphone around. I literally just see what Streamlabs shows me for the level, and then I have to go like turn on a second screen either on my phone or on the computer, or not a computer, but on the phone or on my TV, so that I can see or hear, see with my ears, I suppose, how it sounds, and then mess around with it from there. Eventually this will all get better, hopefully. We'll see. Anyways, welcome to Tuesday night, Service Industry Night, Indigo at night. But if you were here last week, more than likely you weren't, because nobody was here last week. Or if you're here now and I just can't see you, I don't know. Says there's one person, 3 people. Says there's 3 people, but pretty sure at least 1 or 2 of those are actually me monitoring the stream. Regardless, welcome. This is a night not just for me to like talk about something I know, but like I kind of hope, and maybe I got to do more to get the word out there to this audience, to have people that are part of the service industry eventually show up and want to like converse about these things and share their stories, because it's cool to talk with people who are not part of the industry or not in the restaurant business and kind of share those things. But it would also just be kind of nice to have some of those people here to like actually relate to, or who can relate to the things I'm saying, or even tell me they think I'm wrong, so I can then tell them I don't care. Anyways, so basically tonight is about the server life and restaurant related subreddits. This is basically the only thing I use Reddit for, is to look at these. Actually, I think I pointed out last time I did the stream. There is... I can actually move my laptop to where I can see it a little bit better, perhaps. I have a microphone in my face, so there we go. All right, so there's Server Life, there's Chili's, there's Olive Garden. I know there's specific waiters, that's one, but none of them are really like on par with Server Life. That's like the hashtag, that's like the meme, that's what everyone's basically always called it. So anyways, this will be every Tuesday night though, and then tomorrow night, every Wednesday night, is Warzone Wednesday. Or unfortunately in the graphic I called it Warzone Wednesday, so I think I'm kind of stuck with calling it that, but I like Wednesday night Warzone better, so we'll see. WNW, Wednesday night Warzone. And I actually put up a short on my channel yesterday, where it was literally just a clip. A friend of mine was in the chat, and we started talking about Star Trek while I was playing Warzone, and I was in the gulag. And so if you're not a Star Trek fan, you may not understand it. But if you are a Star Trek fan, then you might get it. I thought it was amusing, so I made it into a short. But that would actually be nice too. Like obviously I'm there to like play Warzone and enjoy that. But more than that, just having people there to converse with and like have a good time while playing Warzone and having those conversations. That'd be actually pretty cool. The whole spontaneous interactions and all that's the fun part. So anyways, tomorrow night we'll be on Twitch for Wednesday Night Warzone. And then I had mentioned in the previous stream and just in general that I want to do something with Kick. And I think I've kind of figured out at least a start for that. I'm messing with my microphone here, you might hear that. But I downloaded Among Us on my computer, my laptop, because I have Game Pass. So I was able to download Among Us. It takes up very little room and has very low resource requirements. And I actually tested out having Streamlabs running and running Among Us at the same time. Like I just kind of did like the practice session thing. It may be a little bit different if it's online using the internet connection while I'm streaming. But I just feel like resource-wise, Among Us seems to work out pretty good with Streamlabs on my laptop. Down the road, if I manage to get an actual desktop PC where I can set these things up, I feel like what'll end up happening is I'll use both the desktop and my laptop for different things. Like my laptop might be there so that I can hook in with Discord or something, have Discord running. I don't know. It just gives you more options, more capabilities. Anyways, so that I might start doing Among Us on like Saturday night. I'm not sure. Just keep an eye out on the channel here. There will, I'm sure, be a post. And then on like Twitter and Instagram and stuff. But like go follow my Kick, because that's where that'll be. YouTube is for like these kind of just chatting and, well, in this case, the service industry thing, but like just chatting type stream like this, or like commentary streams, I guess. Twitch will definitely be like the primary like gaming thing for like Warzone and other gaming, but with Kick, I want it to be kind of like a variety thing where maybe I sit there and chill and chat and play like Among Us, right? And then maybe down the road, like I've mentioned, get a webcam and have that, not for me, I'm a faceless content creator, but like have the camera set up as like a desk cam for like building Lego or Pokemon cards and stuff. Anyways, I'm just rambling here because no one's here, and if somebody opens the VOD, I want them to have something to listen to start with and get some info. So we are in the Server Life Reddit here. What is this? What can I get you to drink tonight? Server, waiter, or waitress? Welcome home. Take off your apron, have a glass, and let's chat about work. Because, come on. As much as you act like you don't want to talk about it, you do. I know. Read the rules before posting, commenting, blah, 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 blah. There's also the fact that today is Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, which is when they open up. I feel like they call it Tipsy Tuesday in this subreddit. Sorry if you can hear me adjusting my chair. I'll have to go reread the rules. I think that's the one where they open up to talk about actual tipping. Let me see what it is. Okay, so just about anything, it sounds like. It says, unfortunately, the trolls have made it hard to moderate here. We are now only allowing good tip, bad tip, brag, or complain, which is like most of what you would do in this subreddit. Or any other non-legal question tip posts onto. So maybe, so anything to do with tipping where it's good or bad, basically. So we can actively moderate the conversation. If your post has been removed for this reason, please repost it on the next week. So yeah, Tipsy Tuesday is pretty much about tipping, which is actually what we got right here. So this was posted 5 hours ago. Also, happy April Fools. I spent most of the day not on the internet because I hate April Fool's Day in general. I really hate it on the internet. There are some good-hearted, fun jokes that can come from April Fools, but overall, I feel like it can be really a nuisance and obnoxious. So I pretty much just log off most of the day. Spent the day on the zero-turn mower. We live on several acres, and so I do like every Tuesday. Before I do this, I mow either the front of the property or the back of the property. Today was the front of the property, so got that done, got some sun. Anyways, wait, what is this? JR Nation 8988 says, F you, doctor. They got a picture here, as you can see. 8 top. They had a reservation for 6, but clearly didn't know how to count. They finally sat down and everything was fine. Everything was fine for the entire meal. Old guy paid and has the audacity to sign MD after his name. I'll be searching the paper for his obituary every day until I find it. Oh, goodness. So we post the picture here. Looks like the bill was $270.74. And the credit card tip was $7. $7 on 270. That is insane. Like, insanely insane. This server, more than likely... Actually, I want to see if anybody brings it up. I don't see anybody bringing it up. Okay, so I don't see anybody asking this. I'm going to ask. The question I have here is... Good Lord, do you pay into tip share where you work? The reason I ask that is because depending on the restaurant, tip share is... What do we got here? Some achievement, apparently. Depending on the restaurant you work at, there's something called tip share. Most corporate restaurants use a tip share to pay positions like bussers or food runners and even bartenders. Bartenders usually get the smallest portion because they also have guests that they get tipped from. But like, for instance, if I'm working at the state minimum wage for a tipped position, which I don't know what it is now in Florida, like 9 something. But like, essentially, think about it being like here in Florida, it's essentially like 2/3 of minimum wage you get paid. So it's actually better than a lot of other places, but still. I actually have, if you haven't seen it on my YouTube channel, it should be like the featured thing, like the channel trailer or whatever, is I'm really proud of it. I call it big video, but like my big video about economics of service industry, tipping and wages and all that kind of stuff. Please check it out. If you are a experienced person in the industry, I feel like you'll enjoy it. If you're somebody that doesn't know much about the industry, please check it out before you have comments regarding tipping and wages. Okay, I kind of go over everything. But either way, back to this. The system that most places employ is something called tip share. So where I work, 4% of whatever my sales total is, I pay into tip share to pay food runners, and then I think the bartender gets like 1% of it or something like that. It's not huge, but they get like 1%. And then usually bartenders don't pay into tip share. So on a bill like this, 4%, they're paying almost 10. They're paying, so for the 200 alone, they'd be paying $8 into tip share, and then for the 70, they'd be paying almost another $4 or $3 or so. I'm not a math person. Either way, even if it was just $8, that's a dollar more than what they received in a tip. And so what it is, if I have $1,000 in sales for my shift, right? That's like all the stuff I've sold, food and drinks and all that kind of stuff. If I have $1,000 that I have sold, I then pay $40 of whatever I've made in tips into the tip share for the run, and it's worth it. I will definitely say it's worth it, especially like the way we work, where I work, the way the system works. It's totally worth it, right? For the backup and support you get, as long as you are getting it, it's worth it. I think most people agree. But either way, it's still a big chunk of money. It's a big chunk of money. Out of $1,000 in sale, or so if I have $1,000 in sales, for instance, just as a rounded number and it's a realistic number. So I will pay $40 into that tip share. If I have made 20%, which is your average, like your typical average, if you're a decent server, you should be making at least 20%. If I made 20% in tips, right? That means off $1,000 in sales, I should make about $200 in tips. Hopefully you have some over tippers, some of those nice little like cash tippers, you know. So I look at that and go, okay, so I made $200, and you think about the work that goes into selling $1,000 worth of food and drinks, and how much business that is, and what you dealt with throughout the day, right? So $200, you're excited. That's decent money for a single shift. However, you pay into that tip share, it becomes $160, right? You pay that tip share regardless of how much you made in tips, right? So in a case like this, where they had $270, their tip share on just that bill is more than what they received. So they paid to serve that table, if they do that wherever they are. I don't see. To be honest, this actually looks similar to the tickets we use, but many of them are similar format. Either way, they may not have tip share, but the majority of places have some form or the other. So if it's a standard like that, they either made nothing or paid to serve this table. Like, think about that. You're there to make your money. You're there to make your tips. You're there to make a living. You served 8 people, right? You made sure 8 people were taken care of and got their food and all that kind of stuff. And even if the service wasn't the greatest in the world, it's 8 people. That's a decent amount of people to have to deal with and try and make sure they're okay, right? Yeah, they would basically have paid to serve this table or worked for free. You know, that's ridiculous. Even if it's $1, it doesn't matter. You did $270 worth of work and made $1 or paid $1 or whatever to do that job. So either way, I'm asking them right here if they pay into tip share, because that's my curiosity there. But get an appointment and then give him a chat review. Used to do this all the time when I was a waiter, and it felt liberating. I'm fairly certain he doesn't even practice anymore. Probably lost his license due to malpractice, hence why he can't afford a tip. Did this to a divorce attorney one time. Filled his calendar day up with 5 appointments. No showed them all. It was the best feeling. I like that. That's actually pretty good. That's a good one. Every restaurant should have autograph for 6+. Owner doesn't care. Well, we actually, so where I work, we don't. I'll say that, like, I'm not saying this is an uncommon issue. It's usually with smaller tickets. But we have a lot of large parties where I work that go from 10 to 20, 25, you know, whatever. And auto gratuity sounds pretty good. But auto gratuity is also potentially lower than what you could make. And might actually, because I've seen it before. We've had this discussion at various places I've worked, because some places do have auto gratuity. Now, here's the problem as well. If people learn that there's auto gratuity, they will also split the bill up to make sure they can avoid it. because the auto gratuity you can only put on like one if it's one check usually. But there is the potential that having auto gratuity can also discourage people from tipping you more than the gratuity, because they might have, basically. What? The place I work at has never done it. Mom and pop shop. They said because they have to pay more taxes or something. Is it even true? Let me see what this. Yes, I'm not sure if they have to pay more, but it does add a weird complication to it where they have to report it a different way because it's considered a fee rather than an optional tip or something like that. Okay, no, that legitimately makes sense. Yeah, hardly any. Why did people downvote this? They're just saying. I don't understand. All they did was say hardly any restaurant does autograt anymore. They didn't say whether it was good or bad. They just said it doesn't happen. And they got 175 downvotes. But no, this right here, that actually does make some sense. The idea that if they put the auto gratuity on there, it counts as a fee versus when they tip you, that's like direct payment to the server, not to the restaurant. That does actually make sense why that they would want to avoid that. Yep, there's that too. In 14 years of serving, I've only worked at 2 places that did autograt. One bar that served microwave Cisco food. And one craft brewery. And have also served at Cheesecake Factory, Elephant Bar, multiple mom and pops, and now a Michelin-recognized establishment. All this to say that your personal experience does not equate the general experience of servers across the country whatsoever. Yeah. I will say, to add to this, I have seen... I'm going to put the rare occasions where it could lead Yeah, I mean, it seems it really does depend. Huh. Yeah, it seems it really does just depend on where you are, whether or not auto gratuity is something that is there. Because I have worked at... Oh, they responded to me. I just got the notification on my phone. Awesome. Let's go back. Let's go back. Come on. Oh, come on. Load. Load. Yep, that's what it said. Oh, wow. Why is Reddit being so slow suddenly? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, yep. 3 to 4%. I forget which one of it is of total sales. This table literally cost me money. Yep. I figured as much. Cool that they got back to me so quickly, like while I'm sitting here talking about it. I figured as much. I also work with a 4% tip share. It's worth it for the food drinkers, but this would definitely piss me off. Thanks for the quick response. I'm live streaming to no one and was discussing. Okay. Yeah. So the 3 to 4%. The 3 to 4%, yeah, they paid to serve the table. Either way, whether it was 3 or 4%, it doesn't matter. They basically paid to serve that table. Good job. You know, and it's sad because you oh, somebody else responded. This is kind of funny. I'm getting the notifications on my phone while I'm sitting here. I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta go look. What do we got here? Virgo season. Okay. So I had responded. They were talking about the autograt thing. I had responded, to add to this, I have seen rare occasions where it could lead to a lower tip than one might have. I'm just going to knock my freaking microphone around. Where it could lead to a lower tip than one might have received for their work without the autograt. And they said, I agree with that, and I've been lucky on more than one occasion to be tipped on top of autograt as well. If someone genuinely wants to tip a certain amount, they will, but I completely get what you're saying. Yeah. It's one of those things where, like, given the opportunity, like, of free will, they may tip better because of your service and experience. But having it automatically put in front of them, it's like it takes the obligation away, right? It takes the feeling of obligation away, so they don't, right? Okay, yeah. So yeah, that's how I see it. That's how I see it. Is basically it's one of those things where they may naturally tip like a larger amount because they feel like they should. It was good service. They had a good time. A lot of people. Wow, we asked them for a lot of stuff. Blah blah blah. So they may give you like 22%. But if the auto gratuity is set at like say 18, because they're not going to set auto gratuity at like a super high amount, right? It's going to be at like something that would be considered like mainstream reasonable. Because it's there, it takes the burden away. Like they don't have to like make the choice. It's like, oh well, they've got it set at that, so I might as well just roll with that. So there's actually people active right now, which is kind of cool. There's 158 people currently active. There's also, I'm interacting a little bit more with this one. The last stream when I was like sitting there, I was literally just like cracking up at the stories we were looking at. Anyways, I'm gonna go back out to the, oops, whoa. Back out to the actual subreddit and find something new. Good discussion. Oh crap! What did I do? Good little discussion there though, because it's true. There's so many factors that go into it, and it really depends where user flare. What? What the heck? I unlocked something here. What? What is this? Vintage soup monger. What? Okay, so I've got front of house, back house, server, bartender, lurker, 5+ years. What does that mean? Is this time in the industry? Oh, is it because I got this? That's kind of cool. Damn it, Reddit, don't make me like you. That's what Discord's been doing lately. I have never liked Discord, but then on Xbox Live or Game Pass, excuse me, I had a perk sitting there for the longest time for a code that gave me 3 months of Discord Nitro for free. And this happened to me with YouTube Premium, and that was like a year ago, and I still have YouTube Premium. I was always like, like the idea of not having ads on YouTube is pretty cool, right? But I wasn't going to pay for it, right? I just skipped it. It was just like I became so accustomed to just dealing with the ads. And then I got the trial from Xbox for 3 months of YouTube Premium. I put it on there, and I never went back. Like, the 3 months expired. I was like, there's no way. I consume so much YouTube and then the music. Because I didn't have like a streaming music service, and I wanted one, but I didn't want to pay for Spotify. I didn't really like Spotify, and I didn't want to pay for something else. And it's included in YouTube Premium. So like by the time that 3 months was up, I was like, I can't go back. Whenever I go over to like my mom's place and she's watching YouTube on her TV and ads pop up, I'm like, what the hell is this? So it's like the same thing with Discord at this point. They gave me Discord Nitro for 3 months, and that's nice because that's a decent chunk of money. I mean, it's like $30 because it's like not the basic one, it's like the good one. So it's like $30, you know, nice little bonus just for having Game Pass, which I'm gonna have anyways. So, however, once I got it and I like customized my profile and I bought like a profile picture and profile effect, and so I'm like, man, I don't think, and put a banner up and all that stuff. I'm like, I don't think I could go back. I don't think I'd go back. At this point, I think that's going to be... But my big, like, entertainment spending is Game Pass, YouTube Premium, and Discord Nitro now, I guess. Possibly will continue to get Discord Nitro. Either way, I wish it told you what these meant. Because I don't want to put a tag that says 5+ years, 10+ years, 15+ years, if that's not directly related to time in the industry. If that's like that can't be like a thing for the subreddit. Like, Reddit hasn't even been around that long, has it? When was Reddit founded? 2005. Bro, I gotta fix that. I was just looking at the my screen where I'm watching the stream. It like goes all bright suddenly. So I guess technically these could be there. I don't know. I'll stick with server. Let's put that on there. Hell yeah. That's cool. Oh, that's me. I got another achievement. You set a user flare in a community. Wait, do I have others that I'm capable of doing that in? Oh no, they're just communities that's whoa, that's cool. That's cool. I think I've only looked at a lot of these on the app. But anyways, so back to what we got going on here. I haven't got any more notifications, so I don't think they're responding. Can you quote Lord of the Rings? My husband is very passionate about J.R.R. Tolkien reading day, but he doesn't like that. Can you quote Lord to the... What the heck? What the heck? I was conflicted over sharing this here because they ended up being a fun, lovely table and tipped generously. But when I read this before they were sat... Wait, what? But when I read this before they were sat, it was one of the more genuine WTF moments I've had in this industry. Co-owner GM Sam, I don't know what that means, did a fair amount of heavy lifting, had the MD retrieve them from the bar with something like, Your table is ready, but if you haven't settled your bar tab, you shall not pass. He prompted one of the teenaged food runners to say, all right, then keep your secrets. When they answered no to, is there anything else I can bring for the table? A host lost her ring in the vicinity of the table. You can probably figure out how that one went. She lost her one ring. Oh, you know what? I could be wearing my blue light glasses, actually. Well, it just made everything blurry. What the heck? They need to be cleaned. I'm only a casual fan of Lord of the Rings, so the only one I came up with on my own was when discussing sides. Roasted delicata squash, grilled broccolini, smashed potatoes. I am typically wary of tables that want to play games with their server, but these people were great, actually, and again, tipped generously. That's awesome. But he doesn't like to talk about. Can you quote Lord of the Rings to him throughout service? That's great. One does not simply quote Lord of the Rings. A server, wizard, is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to. This is so fun. I'm glad they turned out cool. I once had a family with 3 teenage girls. At the end of the meal, the parents asked me to fake lecture the girls about having horrible table manners. Should be ashamed of themselves. Other tables noticed type thing. They were actually great and polite. The parents just wanted to clown them. So I did it. The look on the girls' faces. Told them it was a joke, and they scream, I hate you guys. Parents are dying laughing. Then dad tipped 30%. Sometimes this job is fun. Where was Gondor to literally everything? This would have been my dream table. Hand the bill over and go keep it secret. Keep it safe. For Elijah Wood and that guy from the Goonies. Former server here. My boss would have sat them at the table. Sorry about the wait on the check. I hope you guys aren't in a hurry to get out of here. You guys are much better than my last table. They kept glowerung at me for some reason. Oh my god. I'm sorry we don't do dessert, but there's a great Frodo bar down the street. Jesus Christ. I have a fairly strong southern accent, so I think I could sneak the references in without being overt. I would switch with one of the actor servers. Yeah. Potatoes. I'd have had so much fun with them, good tip or not. Greeting them, glad you came for dinner, but FYI, we also updated our hours. We now serve breakfast, second breakfast, 11's, luncheon, afternoon tea, dinner, and supper. Have a friend server come up and ask if they ordered a pint while you're at the table. Gasp. It comes in pints? If you decide on the 40-ounce cowboy ribeye, any large entree, remember, it is not the strength of the body, but the strength of the spirit. Pretend to burn yourself on a plate when setting it down. The burned hand teaches best. After that, advice about hot plates goes to the heart. Accidentally spill some wine. A red moon rises. Wine has been spilled this night. What in the hell? You were a good sport about it, but this would annoy me. Don't commission servers, multiple staff to entertain your group. That sort of thing is not in your... It literally is your job. Like, not to be an actor or anything, but like literally just... There was nothing about this request that was anything but being fun. The only reason I might have failed and now the OP is pissing me off, is the fact that I just don't know Lord of the Rings that well. The way people expect so, just each. I'm sorry, that's gonna. The way people expect servers to do all this extra shit, just eat your food. Just work at McDonald's. Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys. Stupid. I mean, not the post and not the activity. Actually, why does it keep taking that like away? Okay, let's see what we got here. Sometimes you just gotta say no. Originally posted to the AIT, that's am I the asshole? But it was removed as I was a business representative. Interesting. This happened at my weekend serving job that I got to help pay off some debt. A couple, late 20s, came into our sit-down Asian restaurant. I got them drinks and started to take their appetizer order. The guy asked me for a piece of paper and a pen. No big deal. I just gave him one of my order sheets and a spare pen. When I was walking around and working on my other tables, I heard him say something along the lines of, "Well, yeah, I have to write everything down she does so I can tip right." The girl said something a little contrarian, which made me think this was one of their first dates, and she was probably surprised by this. Later, when I was coming to refill their drinks, he said, "Oh, you're back. I was wondering." Before I reached for their drinks, I noticed the paper sitting on the table and asked what it was. It had little bulletin point notations on it. This asshole said directly to my face, "Oh, this is your tip calculations." He was showboating to his date, and I was looking at another table. He continued on this tirade for several minutes. "Hey, you're not even paying attention. You should check in on your guests more. You don't even look like you're having a good time." All I said was, "Oh wow, that's incredibly rude and demeaning. I won't be serving you." I didn't need his $10 that damn bad. The guy looked completely dumbstruck and the woman seemed embarrassed. The man asked what I was talking about and I was starting to get irate. I just called over our manager, who was very nice. I explained the table was making me uncomfortable. I wouldn't be serving them. Then I went back into the kitchen to continue waiting on my other tables. My manager talked to me in the kitchen when she was done with the table. She was considerate but kept asking why I wouldn't serve them. I just kept saying the man was very rude to me and made me uncomfortable. There's a small language barrier between us, and I didn't want to waste time during the lunch rush to try and give her a detailed explanation. When I went back out, I saw the woman berating the guy. Of course. She ended up walking out a little while later, and Guy followed without paying. We could hear him screaming in the parking lot. They had only gotten a couple of egg rolls and soda at that point. I think they were just embarrassed because like 15 tables full of people were staring at them by the end of it. A couple of my other tables asked about it. I explained, and they felt bad, so they tipped me a little more, which was nice, but I wasn't that bothered. I explained the whole situation to my boss the next day, how I felt degraded, and at the end of the day, it wasn't much of an issue. She's been keeping an eye on me since then. A few other servers just can't understand why I would miss out on money like that, and that as a server, I should just serve them. No, I'm not a performer. I live in a state where server wage is $2.13 an hour. They better be happy I showed up at all. I was on their side with so much of this. But then you get to that last stuff. I live in a state where server wage is $2.13 an hour. They better be happy I showed up at all. Well, it's your job. Like, that's your job. Show up and serve people. That's how you make your money. So, anyways. No, this is all ridiculous. This is all ridiculous. This guy... I hate it when people like, I don't know, when chicks run around using the term red flag, like you don't know what a red flag is. Anyways, yeah, this is that thing where like communities. I posted about this before. I put it in a one of my weekly takes. I don't like communities because I will start to get into them and I'll start to enjoy the discussion, and then I will start to see the other elements of the community. I go, these people are stupid. And so like this whole story was great, but then when their attitude about being a server shows, like there are other jobs. There are other jobs for you. You don't have to do this. So no, the way this guy was acting was not correct and all that, but still, like, anyways, give me a second. Okay, that but that is something about me. Just like in the other conversation, the other thread where I told her just go work at McDonald's. Like it's I don't know. I'm not trying to take the job too seriously, but at the same time, like this is your job, this is your profession, is to give people an experience and is to be there to make sure it's good. If you want to just be an order runner, you can do that. But being a server is something else. That's how you make your money. It's how we as an industry survive. So I hate it when people take that attitude. No, I am not a performer. You know what? There's truth to that. Yes, you're not a clown and a circus actor and anything like that. But the best service manager who taught me the best things, the one of the best pieces of advice he gave me was, when you step out into that dining room, you are on a stage. And it's true. Everything that's going on behind the scenes, everything you're going through at home, your BS you're dealing with management or other staff members in the back, whatever it is, that's besides the point. When you step out onto the dining room floor to interact with your guests, you're on a stage. And I don't know. I get good scores. I make good money, so I'll stick with that. James Bond. Yeah. Also, $35 on 177. Huh. Recently, I've seen a Matt Ryan and then a father-son duo of Sam Howell the third and fourth, none of which seemed capable of throwing in the NFL. I served a Michael Scott once. Nice. Yeah, 35 on 177 though. Old Bond, not the best tipper though. I think I'm spelling that wrong. I'm not trying to do Olay. Just do old. That's funny. Did I thumbs up it? That's weird. It doesn't show it out here. Huh. I was wondering if you all had any go-to numbers you all use for customers who ask for numbers. I have to work on remembering the restaurant number I work at, but it would be nice to have an idea of where or what numbers one could use. What? What are we? Is this like a dating thing? Like when they're asking you for your number? Apparently, if you dial 248-434-5508, it rickrolls them. I'm gonna search this. Ah. Really? Hang on a sec. Okay, so apparently it's real. Let's try this out. I don't know if it'll... Okay. 248 434 5508. Okay. All right. So it's real. That's hilarious. The funny thing is, it's the Small Axe Roadhouse in Michigan is what shows up when I dial that number. I'm gonna save that. The Small Axe Roadhouse. That's hilarious. That is awesome. So yeah, 248-434-5508 is a Rickroll number. But I don't know what they're talking about. I think they're talking about like if somebody wants their number, like trying to ask them on a date, like hitting on them or something. I don't know. You learn something new though. That's pretty cool, actually. Huh? Spill check. What is this? Okay. Somebody spilled a bottle? What the heck? Jesus. Huh. I don't actually know what's going on there. That's cool. Okay, what we got here? Allergies. From Negative Echidna. That's funny. I work in fine dining, and it is mandatory for me to ask all of my tables for any allergies at the table. I like that I've gotten into the habit of it because most people really appreciate it, even if they don't have any allergies or if they are sure what they're ordering is safe. It's mostly for cross-contamination as well as the fact that not every single ingredient is listed on the menu. But some responses I've gotten have just left me speechless. You always think you've heard it all. Some examples just from recent are, just allergic to bullshit. This guy was mad our menu was a la carte. I know, right? So, well, I mean, I would be too. I'm allergic to red wine, as he sipped on red wine. Gave me a chuckle. Just too bad food. Prob's the most common. I'm allergic to the bill. Fake laughs while I die a little more inside. What a life we have. I don't get this attitude. It does not compute to me. So this person says, I used to work at a counter service wine bar that was extremely high volume. One time a woman made a joke when I asked her about allergies, saying, ugh, no, we aren't from California. I live in the deep south, so I guess she thought I would agree with the all allergies are BS and made up thing. Well, or you could just have a sense of humor. After dealing with these jokes all day, I kind of snapped in a service industry way and said, we have people from all over the world come here and a lot of them have allergies. We want to make sure that everyone has a blah, blah, blah. Basically, I just hear a whole bunch of blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Take the goddamn joke. She tried a stumbling non-apology saying that she runs a nonprofit and people with fake diet surgery to make her godly. I doubled down and said, my brother has several allergies. I can't stand, I cannot stand people who are confrontational with their guests. Yeah, I just, that is not something I will ever be able to relate to or endorse. I just can't. Let's take a look at this actually. How is my music? It's got like 4 minutes left. Let me see. Just have that start after. Hopefully it works. It'll probably start playing an ad now that I think about it. Genuinely, why keep bad servers even when it clearly hurts business? All of our 1-star reviews are about the same server to the point that we're now at 3.7 stars. She's beyond lazy and nasty to customers and staff. Her bills and orders are always wrong, and customers literally complain during service she has negative energy or a horrible attitude. She literally hides in the kitchen and texts and ignores her tables. She's also only 2 months in, so no seniority, and yet not fired. Punctuation's not very good. This is the second restaurant I've been at where the manager would rather argue with a bad server every weekend instead of cutting her hours or her loose, while the good ones are begging for hours. At my last place, it took 4 months too long, even when she was always late or missing shifts or borderline drunk. There's no shortage of good servers looking and applying. Genuinely, why? Pretty much. Yeah, it boils down to management not wanting to be short-staffed. They rather have a bad server than to have no one and have to come in and do it themselves. Well, they wouldn't have to do it themselves. It's just not how it works. Someone else would end up with more work during that shift, but... yeah. I've seen it a lot. I have to say I'm lucky right now just because the restaurant I work in, we use the Ziosk. We get those reviews and stuff. And yeah, there's manipulation on there, but everyone's basically doing it. And yet what we're looking at, we were recently told to staff more, which is weird because I feel like the majority of places I've worked, the longer I've worked there, the more they wanted to cut staff. The restaurant I worked at was told recently, over the last few months, to staff more. More servers, more bussers, more food runners. Actually, they started using bussers for the first time since I've been there. What the heck? Another one? My boyfriend, shut the. Anyways, since we started staffing more, our numbers for performance have like gone through the roof. I think I might have talked about this last stream, but like our list has like 18 servers on it, or our roster does. There might be more, but that's as far as the list goes. And previously, and again, this is not because anybody was a bad server, it was just because of the situation they're working in. Nobody has like completely changed their formula of work or how they do things, including, especially since most have been doing this for years, many for a long time. And previously, you got outside, say, the top 6 or 7 people on the list, and you were dropping below the 80% level when it came to server attentiveness, the number one score. And then now you have to get all the way down to like 16, 17 before you get below that number. And then the other numbers are really good too. So I don't know. We're doing a good job. We have good servers, good staff, and the smart choice was made that we need to have more working consistently. So did it roll over to the... It did. Actually, let me turn on the sound. Oh, I like the sound of that. Okay. Customer comment I got the other day. Let's open that up. So let's read the comment first. Waiter, neutrally friendly because he looks busy. He had 7 tables. He forgot to bring us food several times, and table etiquette was lacking. Almost slamming things on the table. Not angry, just rushing. We were not upset with the guy. He was working his tables the best he could, looks like. This review made me kind of mad because I didn't think it was entirely my fault. Well, that's literally what they said. Like, the whole thing is them saying, hey, you know what? Like, I think this guy's got a little too much going on. Sure, I may have almost slammed food on the table, but only because it was taking a long time to come out and I was busy with 6 other tables at the same time. Well, that's what they said. I definitely didn't forget the food. The kitchen made it wrong, and I didn't want to bring it out wrong. Well, you didn't explain that to them. So that's what... My biggest pet peeve with customers is when they blame me for food coming out wrong. Like, I'm just the messenger. They even... Well, we actually have a lot to do with that. I hate to tell you. How you ring things in, ringing in correctly, ringing in the correct order, promptly, the proper, like, notations, modifications, all that stuff all matters. Either way, sometimes it still gets messed up. They even talked to the manager and said that they didn't think I was emphatic enough to them for the mistakes that the kitchen made. Do you guys think I was wrong, or should I have been more emphatic when the kitchen makes a mistake even when I'm busy? I mean, most of your issues were exactly... looks like I have another notifications. I'm right. Somebody upload. Okay, what do we got? Okay. So, yeah. Obviously, if you saw me typing and stuff, like I was quiet there and were listening, you probably heard it. I just want them to know I wasn't trying to be snarky, just saying there are many guests I likely wouldn't mind giving my number to. We have a lot of regulars. Like, we have a lot. So much of my weekly business, like every single week, is a lot of the same people. And that's a testament to our restaurant, for sure. But, and cute girls are always exception. Like, of course. Some cute chick wants my, they're going to get my number. Incredibly rare. Incredibly rare. Chicks basically never want your number or ask for it or any of that stuff. But anyways. But anyone I'm not comfortable with, I'm not going to mess around with a fake number and be rude or have it come back to me some way. Like, I think that that's weird to me to, like, give somebody a fake number. Right? You want people to come back to your restaurant. Even if they ask for your number or whatever it is, even if, like, their comment was, I just started working and gave a nice older lady my personal phone number today since I didn't have another number I know through memory. Well, you don't need another number. If you're not comfortable with them having it, even as an acquaintance, like a casual acquaintance, some older lady that wants to say hi or see if you're, a lot of times, especially if this is a regular, somebody that comes in on a regular basis, they like to get your number, the bartenders, their regular server, whatever, because they want to check in, see if you're working that day. They like to sometimes hear some of the grapevine crap from work, all that kind of stuff. We just have a lot of regulars. That's just normal. And then I have another notification. Let's see. So that's fine. And then of course cute girls is always fine. But where'd it go? It says they responded or something. I was curious what others do who have been in the industry longer when the situation occurs for both same-sex and opposite-sex situations. I'm just starting out with loving advice possible. I think they saw my other comment, though. But yeah, we have a lot of regulars. Like, seriously, like people that you will see every single week or sometimes more. In particular at our bar, but even outside of that. And some of them, if they were like, hey, could I get your number just to, you know, I'd like to stay in touch, keep an eye on how you're doing, things like that, you know, because they're a human being. You become more than just the person shoveling food down their throat. And so, yeah, they want to, like, keep up to date, see what's going on, see how you're doing. Okay, so they responded to their thing. No, notifications. Huh? I don't want email digest. Just go to my note. I hate when stuff starts being weird. Yeah, okay. Anyways, so in those cases, I would definitely hand it out. If it's a cute girl, definitely hand it out. But if it's anybody else and I'm not real interested in talking to that person or if it seems odd or anything, I don't want to be rude to them and be like giving them a fake, because they're going to go try to contact that number. And then they're going to be like, why the hell would they do that? Just tell them no, right? Just politely be like, hey, you know what? I appreciate. Actually, let me type that in. Hey, you know what? I appreciate your interest, but I prefer to keep things on a professional level where I work so nobody has any kind of disagreement or misunderstanding. That would be my approach, not not do some kind of weird stuff like giving them a fake number, because I just feel like that comes back on you, you know? Yes, these are my DMs. None of it's weird. Anyways, so hopefully that helps them out, and hopefully they get the correct thinking, because that's my biggest thing. I've trained people. I have, like, besides just what the heck? No. Besides just like having over 8 years of experience, I've trained people, I've seen it, I've managed, I've like done it all, and there's just certain things you think about and you go, someone like that who's new may not consider, but you are trying to build relationships with most of your guests. You want people to want to come back. You want your restaurant to have that reputation. Word of mouth matters a lot in the service industry. There's a lot of things that play into it that keeps you in business and keeps you making good money. And oftentimes these people get to know you, and like, I have a set of regulars, and they're not always like my guest just because of the way the sections work. And like, I work the area around the bar. Some places call it the lounge, some places call it the cafe, or just the bar area. I don't serve the bar itself. I serve a bunch of tables that are around the bar. And so I get a lot of regulars in there. However, right next to my section of tables and booths is a set of 3 booths that belong to the bartender until evening. You know, during the day, it belongs to the bartender. It's how they make a bunch of their money during the day. So occasionally I have guests that normally would sit with me, but if my section is full or the order is set up like that, they end up in those booths. But I still talk to them. Like, I go over and say hi, or they pull me, they wave me over, and it's multiple people. But like, one couple in particular, they're like in their 70s. They travel a lot. They're retired, so we talk about that. Their son used to be in the business, service industry, so we have that to talk about. And they're just interesting, cool people in general. And so I would talk to them and want to be cool with them in general. But then, they come in there because of that. So like every single week, at least once a week, sometimes twice, just this one example of people comes in and is consistent money for the business, is consistent money for us as the servers, and just good relations with people to keep them coming in. And I've literally had times where, what was it? Last summer they did this, and then again for Christmas. But like, I don't know if the summer was a birthday thing or whatever, but they literally just like, after I talked to them, I went and did some other stuff. They see you busy doing your thing, and I walk by, and then the gentleman holds out his hand to shake mine, and we shake his hand, and he's like, there's like a $20 bill in there. I'm like, hell yeah, that's cool. But that's just because you've built a relationship and you're genuine with these people. So there's nothing wrong, in my opinion, with sharing a phone number or giving someone your phone number if you have a genuine like connection with them. Why not? That's cool, right? And if it's somebody that's interested in dating you, you never know. You might be interested in dating them. So, give them your number. But if it is a situation where you don't know, maybe you're not interested, just be professional about it and don't do some weird crap like giving out a fake number. Because I feel like that comes back to, not only does it like make you look bad, like inconsiderate and rude, but then it gives them a bad taste of your service, a bad taste of the coming to the restaurant in general, all that kind of stuff. So I just think it's a better option to just be professional and polite about it. Just say, hey, I appreciate the interest. Like this is what I typed out here for her. Hey, I appreciate your interest, but I prefer to keep things on a professional level where I work, so nobody has any disagreements or misunderstandings. And 99% of people are going to be like, oh, okay, that's cool. That makes sense. So I want to see see full discussion. I don't think my boyfriend is... Yeah, I can't stand it. That's actually amusing. I give them my sister's number. She's been married for almost 25 years, and she did this to me when she was 21. She still finds it hilarious to tell them I'm not interested. Huh. Why is my Streamlabs thing reconnecting? Is everything still working? Okay. Looks like everything's still working. Alright. Let's go back. I think we're getting close to wrapping it up from today. Nobody's here. I've just been talking to myself, so it is what it is. Like, go and buy your own pins. I hate customers. The end. Wow, you're the best. Sometimes I wonder how these people get hired. Finally, somebody with a decent complaint. I can take a lot of BS from customers, but boy, when they plop down at a dirty table and then tell me it's dirty, like I don't know. Oh, honey, I turn up once. I get out of sight. LOL. What's your OMFG? I'm about to start cussing when I walk away. You gotta hit him with the, oh my god, the new host is such an idiot. Why would they see you? Why would they see you here? If they have any decency, they'll admit they sat themselves. Love it. Oh my god. They're such an idiot. What? Ooh, okay. Yes, sir. It says, whenever I hear about back of house or front of house getting weeded is essentially like you're getting overrun. You got too much crap going on at the same time. So stuff ain't working right. I think of the art of war. If the troops are undisciplined, the fault lies with their commanders. Sun Tzu, the art of war. Simple as. Fault lies with management. Almost every, yeah. 99% of the time. My experience from both sides of the equation is you are essentially correct. Things that contribute to servers getting weeded: incorrect staffing levels, incorrect pace of seating, gaps in training, both hostess and server, reluctance for a manager to step in and provide meaningful assistance. You're not helping anyone smoking in the office watching YouTube videos. Get off your ass and support your team. Oh goodness. What the hell? I work in a restaurant that got rid of AM dishwashers, expo, food runners, bussers, and only has one hostess on the weekends since COVID and never brought them back. LOL, that's why we keep getting weeded, and plus having your section inside and outside on opposite sides of the restaurant will that will do it too. Yeah, actually, not quite as drastic as a situation there, but I worked at a, I guess you'd call it mom and pop or local or whatever, local restaurant where there was a patio. It was like a big L-shaped patio around the front. Not necessarily L-shaped, but just the entire front of the building and left side of the building had a big patio on it, right? And pretty cool idea, right? The problem is if you worked a day shift, There was also still the dining room, and you would have tables, and then there was the bar area between the left side of the building patio. Then you had the bar, and then the tables that the bar served. And then you had the dining room, and then you had the front side patio. The senior staff got a section in the dining room, half the dining room basically, and then the front patio section, which was somewhat smaller, but also right there. Like literally the big windows on the front of the building, right there. They could see the patio section, they could see their section. And it was, the door was right there. They literally just, the same direction they're going, and right there next to their section was the door for the patio. If you were not the senior server that was working any of the lunch shifts, you got half the dining room, and the left side of the restaurant patio section, which was bigger, but also on the other side of the building, like outside. It's outside, then you have the bar, then you have the bar, the tables the bar serves, and it was big, wide open area. So it was like you had to keep track of your patio section and half the dining room, and it was actually kind of nuts. Yeah, again, there's definitely bad managers who set you up for failure. I've also worked with lazy servers who don't give a shit about teamwork. Yeah, well, who hired them? Who keeps them? If those lazy servers don't get let go and replaced with hardworking servers, the fault lies in management. Replacing them with a hardworking server is easier said than done. The pool of applicants is not that large. Sometimes a marginal server is better than no server. No. I don't want to argue with this person. No, the pool of applicants is quite large. Quite large. You have your choice. This is like female logic right here when it comes to dating. Huh. That's funny. Okay. Back at what we got. Okay, here we go. Yeah, seriously. What the hell? Okay, so first of all, as the title says, I'm about to go in for my first server job at the top of the hour for a sushi restaurant. This is 3 hours ago. I've worked concessions in a movie theater and food delivery, but this is a completely different vibe and experience. Do you have any advice for me? I have no clue what I've signed up for. So, for some reason... Hang on. For some reason, someone who's not even in the industry decided to comment. I gotta look at something on Twitter real quick because somebody's being stupid. And I'm not pulling that up. Okay, let's see. Oh, maybe they're not stupid. I think people do realize that. I think you're looking at it oddly, to put it nicely. The population density in here is massive in drama trends. Ah, I see. So somebody is in fact stupid. They're going to make my list. I did not. I hate Twitter. Ta-da! Okay. Now that I know what that was about. So, somebody pops in here. I'm not a server, but there's a few things I would take note of. And I'm going to tell you which one of these is actually really stupid. You'll be standing for a long period. If the sushi place is understaffed, you might be walking for hours. Make sure to mentally and physically prepare for that. Big stretch before the shift and mentally repeat, I love my job. Yourself. Shut the hell up. Shut the... The first day will be rough. You'll have to be the person who asks 100 different questions because you are new. Don't be afraid to. They have no choice but to answer them because you are new. Just make sure to ask questions that actually help you later on. Not where's the toilet. Okay, whatever. Clock in and clock out. From my experience, they hate to see people clocking out because that's another staff going home and no more care about the place. However, just do your job. Go home as soon as the clock strikes. You're in shift. Don't ever do extra work for free, especially if you're a part-time. What the hell? Yeah, I don't know what they're going on here, but... let's see. I'm a server going on 24 years in the industry. I totally agree with the other comment to add. Remember to hydrate with... totally agree. What? Whatever. Be a team player. Above everything else. I don't know. I don't want to... I could put so much more crap, but... Be a team player. Communicate and listen. Remember, this is going to be tough. It may take months to get the hang of it, and it takes years to really get good at it, but you can get there. That's what I'll leave that. There's so much more to say. I wish... I need to, like... I want these people here. I don't know how to get them here, but I want these people here listening to my stream and talking to me, like, and listening to what I have to say. Because I could literally just train people, answer their questions, and yeah. Yep. I don't know. I just wish that was like... I mean, that's the hope. I do hope to somehow, like, like, obviously, if I just stay consistent with this, that helps. But I haven't had a single viewer tonight. Have not had a single viewer tonight. So, I just don't know. But, like, there's so many times where I'm, like, I'm interacting with these people or reading their stuff. I'm like, oh, especially the new people. Especially the new people. Oh. Well, welcome, Cosmo Charlie. This isn't how the food industry works. Which one are you talking about? Also good music. Yeah, actually, what is playing? Oh, okay, that's what's playing. Yeah, the music is 80s synthwave playlist, Neon Skylines. Oh, yeah, yeah. The White Bat Audio is who I've been using for ever since I started doing any kind of streaming. I guess like 2 years ago now. It's all completely royalty free. They don't, no copyright, nothing. Like all he wants is like that stupid little credit in the thing, which I just put in the stream description. But great channel, like lots of awesome stuff. Atmospheric, chill synthwave, Miami. That's not his. He does like dark, cinematic, dark synthwave, like just all kinds of stuff. And then he's got like hour-long, 2-hour-long, sometimes just individual tracks. But I love White Bat Audio, so yeah, that's what has been the backing music for my streams since the first time I ever started doing them. Clock out right when your shift ends. Yeah, I mean that's the thing is it's also not possible. Like it's really not even possible, especially in restaurant, like full service restaurant. Like you don't get to just clock out. People, like, you're going to at some point, but there's so much you're going to do before you get to that point, and then you're done. And then I'm sorry, I've actually clocked out, walked halfway out into the parking lot, saw that the guests from my last table who were still sitting, right? Because like if they're still sitting there and you've pre-bust the table, you're pretty much good to go home, right? They don't make you just stay there and wait for every single guest to get up and leave. That would be ridiculous. Not only for you, but just for like labor and stuff too. They'd be like, what the hell's going on? However, I have finished all my stuff, did my checkout, clocked out, and then gotten halfway out the parking lot to my car. Saw that my last guests were standing by their car talking and went, oh crap. I gotta go back in there and clean that table. Because like the other server doesn't know that I'm already gone. Right, they're busy. I was doing other stuff, So I turn around and walk right back in and be like, okay, bust the stuff off the table, wipe it down, whatever. And then I'm like, okay, and I'm good. Bye. But in general, yeah, once you clock out, you're done. But like their little thing about like, oh, clock in, clock up. Well, you don't really get to do that. If you're in a restaurant where you have side work, you're going to have to do side work. If you are still there because you got tables shortly before your replacement came on, for instance, then they're going to get there, but that doesn't mean you're clocking out and you're done. It means you still have things to do. You might still have a table or two still sitting, so you need to be running food. Now, yes, what they said is like, don't work for free. It's not for free, but like, I don't know, they got this, I just don't like the mentality they were rolling with. That's my thing. But yeah, a lot of these people that are like new to the industry, first timers or whatever, and they're asking for advice, I really wish that I could get them into my streams or get to talking to them, because there's so much I would want to be able to like talk to them about. Tonight was bullshit and I almost left. Here we go. Long story short, my coworker is a table shark. I don't mind table sharks. It just means less for me to deal with. I mean, like, I need tables. I need to make money too. But, like, most of the time, I'm going to have more than enough, more than I want. So, I don't mind it. But also, the section I work in, it's difficult for them to even do that. So, long story short, my coworker is a table shark. I don't care about rotation when you have basically the entire restaurant. Let me have some damn tables or I will leave and you can truly have the whole restaurant to yourself. I told my boss if this happens again, I will leave work. I'm here to make money, not running around helping. I know what that feels like. And making someone else's money. My job is to serve. If the rotation isn't... What's going on? It was weird. I saw the tab doing something. If the rotation isn't adding up fairly and you're getting good, all the good if you're getting good all the good tables, I don't know what they mean there. And all the reservations and have been busy since before I even got here, the right thing to do is let me catch up and make some money. I'm seriously thinking about quitting after tonight. It was then chaotic because this person has everything and can't handle it, and I'm getting bitched at by the boss for it being chaotic. I told her it wouldn't have been chaotic if it was evenly split, and she agrees it was not fair. I'm pissed. Yeah, it sounds like obviously Table Shark is a little different in this situation. They're just taking everything, but huh. Why doesn't your restaurant divide it into equal sections for all waiters? Not sure why you're helping this person. If they just want to grab all the tables, let them think or something. Yeah, I'm a fan of sections, but there's also a lot of servers who like to rotate. Not just rotate between the sections. Like, okay, they got sat, this person gets sat, that person gets sat. But there are people, and they work the dining room, which thankfully I don't really work in. But like during the day, if there's two of them in the dining room, instead of one of them working a certain section, the other one working a certain section, they will typically prefer to rotate. So it's every other table that comes in, regardless of where it gets sat, they get that table. I'm not a fan of rotating because I feel like it's confusing and annoying. And managers should do something. Now, managers aren't going to do something about it as long as their numbers are as good as they are. So it's whatever. But me as a server, if I step out into the dining room, I want to look at my section and see all of my tables. Maybe that means I have a couple less than the section next to me because people wanted to sit over there or whatever. Sure, I don't care. But I don't want to walk out into the dining room and be like, okay, I've got 3 tables over here, a table over there, and a table over there, and then just be like bouncing all over the place trying to serve all these people. The point of a section is so you could just walk out, observe everything, and see all of your tables at once, and then walk through in an orderly fashion, be able to check on all of them and make sure everything's good. So I'm not a fan of the rotating like that. Rotating sections, having a rotation is a different thing. That's like during the day, there's typically 3 sections. There's the lounge area where I work, and then there's usually 2 sections in the dining room or 2 servers in the dining room. If they rotate, it's not my problem. But rotation is, okay, the lounge gets a table, dining room server gets a table, dining room server gets a table, and then it repeats. But they do it the other way. Yeah, boss should have been aware that this person was getting tables like that. For a decade, I ran restaurants having one server run the floor, especially if they've been there all day, and screwing other servers just makes those servers want to leave for obvious reasons. Good job standing up for yourself, blah, blah, blah. No floor plan with sections? No, there's only 2 of us employed. We rotate, but somehow the rotation always ends up favoring them and screwing me. Are you even serving if the thought, I wonder how long it would take anyone to notice I left, doesn't enter your mind several times a shift? True. There's the opposite side of that too. There's the, I don't have anything to do, and if I just left, they probably wouldn't notice. Like, would anybody even notice? And then there's the other side where it's like, I'm doing so much. Like, the managers will always see, like, we run our dishes, right? So the dish pit, there's a big rack there, and everybody comes back and is supposed to grab like a stack of plates or a stack of plates or a stack of baskets or whatever it is, and run that stuff out where it goes. Problem is, in particular during the day, but like in general, 90% of the servers don't. And nothing's ever said to them about it. Now, the food runners are supposed to be doing that as well. So they do occasionally, but really not during the day because they're a little busy. There's usually only one of them. So in particular, during my shifts, I run 90% of the dishes from the dish pit to where they go. And I had one day where there was multiple other servers working. There was like 2 or 3 other servers working. And I stopped running dishes. I was like, no. They need to come back here and be like, whoa, the dish rack is full. Where is everyone? Like, and then a manager, when they notice that, they're going to finally be like, hey, I need full hands from the dish pit. And then suddenly people are going to run back there and they'll grab their little stack of plates. And then that's the one thing they do all night. But I had an entire shift where I was like, I'm done. And the kitchen manager noticed, and he was like, he knew what I was doing. I mean, I told him, like, I eventually, like, the rack was full. Like, just huge stacks of plates, bowls, like, burger baskets, all that stuff. And I looked at him, and it was like the end of the shift. I finally went over there and started picking up plates. I'm like, I waited all day to see if anybody else would do this stuff. He's like, no, I know. He's like, yeah. He's like, I knew what you were doing. Because they figure out who does what, right? They are observant. As much crap as we want to give the managers, they will notice who's working. And so I was like, yeah. I said, I'm going to run them now. I said, but I just kind of wanted to see, like, if anybody else was going to, like, at any point. Oh. When customers take both credit card slips. Yeah, this is not a good situation. The other night, I had a table of older businessmen. Just a normal table. Drinks, appetizers, and dinner. One check, everything fine. After they leave, I go to the table and checkbook is empty. No slip for customer, no slip for merchant. You know what this means. No tip. Bill was over $125, so that sucks. What I want to know is, why would people do this? You, sir, are a businessman, and you know how this works, so why would you do it? Okay, valid complaint. But it's one of the reasons why I'm glad we don't do paper receipts, because I have had this happen a bunch of times over the years. Usually it's not a huge deal. It's just, it can occasionally happen. But where I work, we don't. We do the payment on the Ziosk, and I will stand there and do that with them. I will literally stand there and walk them through using the Ziosk to make their payment, because it also usually leads to me presenting them the survey at the end as well. And be like, hey, this just asked if I did a good job. We really appreciate those, blah, blah, blah. And because I just stood there and ran their card for them and did all that stuff, a lot of elderly guests or older guests and stuff, they're usually in a good mood, appreciative of my service. So anyways, however, in this case, what I notice and feel like, because a lot of these people end up coming back at some point, or you've had them before or whatever, it's a lot easier than you might think to just completely forget that you picked up your credit card receipt, that you signed the thing, whatever, you took your card out, and then before you left, you just grabbed the receipt and you left, because you're talking to people, you're distracted. You got to remember that these people have other things going on. They're here for a social occasion, essentially, not just to, like, they could have gone through McDonald's. They came here to do some sort of interaction, whether it was like with you or with the other people they're there with, and they're saying, table of older businessmen, drinks, appetizers, dinner, etc. So yeah, it sounds like they were just distracted. It sucks because $125, yeah, you probably should have made $35 or something like that. But it's easier than you might think. Oops. Yeah, you're focused on it because it's your job. Yeah. It's easier than you might think for people to be distracted and just pick up both slips and not realize it. Remember, you're focused on it because it's your job. They're there for a social occasion and aren't focused on it. You know, like it's that simple. Now, yeah, they're probably, somebody said, that's actually kind of cool. It's a simple trick to get out of leaving a tip, but make it seem like a mistake on their part. That's possible, but 99% of the time it's not that. The majority of your guests aren't trying to do that crap. I like this though. I once had a lady come back an hour after she left, after realizing she took both copies of the check with her. She was so sweet and even increased the tip for me. Yeah, that's happened to me too, where they come back twice in 25 years. I mean, sure. I had one email my restaurant the next day and then Venmo me my tip. She felt really bad. I told her it was no big deal. Yeah, I mean. Yeah, it's true. Okay, so somebody says 2 things to do in the future. 1, always pick up the slip before they are done when they sign. 2, if for some reason you can't, chase them down. Hey, sir, you accidentally took the signed copy. You probably can't. The problem is that more likely by the time you go realize they took it, they're already gone. Like, you're not going to be able to. I always thought it was rude to take the check before they leave. Yes. And in well-trained servers, yeah, it is actually kind of rude. However, there's ways to go about it. I will try and take it and say something like need any more water or insert free beverage refill. And thanks so much, folks. Have a good one. Big smile and grab the credit card slip. You can do it without seeming rude. Also, I think we need to remember that we aren't rude. And if they think we are for taking a slip, that's their problem. Yeah. Let me just clear this stuff out of your way. Grabs one empty glass and the science. But see, if they think that, but this is what I have my problem with so many people who are servers. They are right about like all this, but then they get to this part. Also, I think we need to remember that we aren't rude, and if they think we are for taking the slip, that's their problem. No, it's your problem. It's your problem. Perception, because whether you were being rude or not, their perception of whether you're being rude or not is in fact your problem. Because you're the host. They're your guest. Like all of this goes back to not the guest is always right, but the guest perception is always going to guide them and your reputation. So the rest of this I agree with. Like, there's definitely ways to do this and get the check, get the bill, you know, the signed part back from them. In fact, most of the time people are just going to hand it to you. If you like return to the table before they leave, like you've dropped it off, you come back, yeah, you'd be like, hey, do we want drinks to go? Anything like that? No? Okay. And a lot of times they'll be like, oh, but here you go, or it's ready, or whatever. And or especially if you're in a place that uses actual checkbooks, then they've signed it, they've put it back in there, and they've put it down on the table. You just slip it off the table as you walk away. Boom, that's it. If you come back asking for it, though, that is definitely rude. Same for like cash tips and such. I always tell people, like, if they've given me their payment and I bring them back cash, I just leave it and I walk away. I have occasionally had times where I walk back out there and I see somebody still sitting and I walk back. I'm like, hey, is everything good? Yeah, we just wanted to make sure we gave you your tip. I'm like, oh, goodness, you didn't have to wait. Just leave it on the table. I'm sorry if you work somewhere where you cannot trust that your tip is going to sit on the table for 5 minutes and your coworkers won't steal it. You need to find another job. So I don't care what your issue is with that. I would not work somewhere where I have that fear. Like, you're gonna. What else are you gonna be worried about if you can't trust that your $8 sits on the table and it's gonna be fine, or that somebody picks it up and hands it to you? There's multiple people I work with where like, there's one of the hostess, and she's been there forever, but she's awesome, and I was all the way in the back or something like that, and she came over and she's like, hey, I was clearing that table, but I didn't want to like touch anything. You saw like cash out there. Like, I'm like, I don't know how to say her name, but like I'm like, look, if I can't trust you to pick up my money and hand it to me, then there's nobody in here I can trust. So, anyways, don't go back and try to collect cash. Like, oh, did you have that cash for me or anything? Don't stand there and wait for it. Nothing. That is all very improper and rude. If the guest signals that they want you to wait for it or something like that, that's totally different. And there's multiple ways they do that, but that's totally different. If they want, hey, don't go anywhere, whatever, then yeah, sure, stand there. And your job is server. They are your guest. So there's so many things that go into that make you better at the job and put you above the competition in the position. So anyways, there's definitely ways to go back and get the credit card slip without being rude. Technically, it is not a proper thing to do, but it is something you can do to try and protect yourself and get that back. But there's ways to go about it and do it the correct way. Yeah, I agree with this. Unless they hand it to me or put it on the very edge of the table, I don't take it. I would never reach into the middle of the table to grab it. The only exception to this is if it's my last table tonight and my Fs are gone because I'm leaving and need my tips. Yeah, that's another situation I've come up with where I've gone back to a table and said, hey guys, like, I'm not trying to push you out or anything like that, but I am done for the night. I've got to cash out. And usually I only have gotten to that point and they're like, oh, yeah, here you go. And they pick it up and they hand it to you, whether it's cash or whether it's the thing or whatever. Like that's like the magic phrase right there for me. Oh, okay. So somebody responded to. But there's like certain little magic phrases, and if you say them the correct way, you do them the right way, then you are not being rude. It's technically improper, but improper does not mean rude. And most people are cool with it, and they're good about it. Yeah, menu study. Especially if they have a weird format for the testing. But you should be fine. I'm just gonna be out with like, look, I've got no problem like helping people out. Like, I'm to this point where I want these people to be good. Like, I want these people to be good. And I can't stand when they come on here and get bad advice or stupid advice. This, I want to switch from server to... Let's do front of house, because we've done it all. Anyways. I feel like I said here, menu study is tough everywhere, especially if they have a weird format for testing. That's the tough one. But you should be fine. It's not meant to fail you. It's meant to test you. So like everywhere you work has some, it feels like a different format for menu testing. For several corporate chains I've worked with, they use a tablet and an application on the tablet, and it's like kind of a like a trivia thing, like a quiz, right? You should have been studying the menu when you got hired. You should have been studying it as you shadowed other people, and then the thing teaches you a bunch of stuff, and then it asks you like quiz questions. Because honestly, there is no amount of studying that menu that is going to actually have you prepared for what you're going to deal with, and the variety of situations and questions and things you need to know when you get out on the floor. So 90% of what you learn happens after training. So it really depends though, because I've worked a couple places where they use like a paper format, and I worked at this one local place. Worst concept ever, but it was like what they had. They gave you the menu, you study the menu, and then the sheet of paper was blank with questions, and you had to like remember off the top of your head within like a certain time frame and sit there and spell out all these things and get like 80% correct or something like that. And I'm telling you, it was the absolute worst format I've ever seen used for a menu test. It was crazy. But holy crap. It's so weird to me. Some of these people, like, it's weird to see that they're like new to serving, but then they've like been incredibly active on Reddit, when like the only reason I'm on Reddit is for the serving thing. When I was a cook, they made us read several menu items and then try to recite them after. I mean, to an extent, yeah. But again, we're in my DMs. There's nothing weird in here. I don't give a crap. Like, to an extent, that might be valid. Like, seeing how good you are at like quickly absorbing the information and then like doing something with it. But the whole point of a menu quiz should always be to get you like comfortable with or acclimated to the style of the menu and how it works. But there are some places like go overboard with wanting you to like you said, recite everything back. Yeah, like the stupid heart thing. Get off my screen. I learned something doing. Wait, let me look. Oh, learned by doing. I don't know why on the app there was a thing blocking it. Anyways, no, for sure. Like I said, 90% of what you actually learn happens after training, right? So the whole menu test thing should literally just be like basic knowledge, like what different things are called, and essentially basic what's in it, right? Once you actually get out there on the floor and start dealing with people, that's when you start actually learning, oh, how do I ring this thing in? How do I modify this? What's an acceptable modification? What are the different options these guys have for the, like you learn all of that kind of stuff afterwards. And just because you sat and like crammed as hard as you can a written menu test, like literally off the top of your head, does not mean that you're going to grasp those things very well. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So, anyways, yeah. We are at the over 2 hours now. I think I'm going to go ahead and shut it down, actually. Pretty decent. I really want to start getting more people in here. Wait, what is this? Check out these related subreddits. Kitchen Confidential? What? What is Kitchen Confidential? I think it's crazy to me that server life is like one of the top 1% in Reddit. Oh, this is like kitchen. Okay, so let's join that. So, yeah, I joined the kitchen one. So, that, like, I've basically had plenty of content to do server life, but I like having these other options. You know, the specific brand ones are good. We got Chili's and Olive Garden in here, and then there's Waiters, which is a little bit different. Now we've got Kitchen Con, but just for options, you know, especially if I ever have like an actual chat going on, to sit and talk about this stuff. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and get the stream shut down, and then tomorrow night is Warzone Wednesday, of course. Wait, your $5,000 tip is coming next tomorrow? Hell yeah. Warzone Wednesday will be tomorrow night, probably by 8:30 to 9 on Twitch. And then of course I might actually play again, like that's my scheduled scheduled stream. But I might actually play again Thursday for sure. Because that is the relaunch of Verdansk, which is the original Warzone map, and they're going to be retuning vehicles and weapons and drops and like all kinds of different things to make it work more like that, which is epic and amazing. Like, we've been begging for this for years. So there may be no bigger thing to happen to Warzone since Warzone launching than the relaunch of Verdansk Thursday. So almost certainly I will be playing tomorrow night on Twitch for regular Warzone, and then Thursday night I will probably, actually I may play into the weekend each night, and I'll probably stream. It's just not my regularly scheduled for sure I'm going to be there type streams, but I want to play a lot of Verdansk. So anyways, thanks for being here, Cosmic Traveler, and see y'all on Twitch tomorrow.